Today, we're embarking on an exploration that touches nearly every aspect of our lives. How we think about, earn, save, and spend money. Our focus for this journey is the acclaimed book, The Psychology of Money. Timeless Lessons on Wealth, Greed, and Happiness by Morgan Housel. Now, if you're imagining a dry finance textbook filled with charts and complex equations, well, prepare to be surprised. This book isn't really about the numbers. It's about human behavior. It's about our inherent biases, our emotions, our unique experiences, and how these powerful forces shape everything. From our daily spending habits to our long-term investment strategies, our understanding of risk, what we define as success, and ultimately, our own happiness. Housel brings these profound insights to life through simple, compelling stories and real-life examples. It makes the lessons not just easy to grasp, but truly unforgettable.
It really does. This book offers such a fresh perspective on money. It shifts the conversation beyond just, the figures and invites us to view money as a profound tool, a means to achieve genuine freedom, a quiet peace of mind, and the ultimate ability to craft a life lived entirely on your own terms. It illuminates why a decision that appears perfectly rational on paper, the one every economic model might endorse, why that often falls short in the complex, emotional, and unpredictable real world. It highlights a crucial distinction. What's smartest on paper isn't always what's smartest in real life.
Exactly. So settle in and get comfortable. This isn't just a summary. It's an opportunity to fundamentally shift how you perceive money, how you make daily choices, and how you approach your financial future.
Right.
Now, before we dive deeper into these fascinating insights, if you're finding value in what we're sharing today, please make sure to subscribe to Book Blinker for more condensed wisdom and profound discussions like this. Okay, let's begin our exploration with Chapter 1, aptly titled, No One's Crazy. Think about it. Have you ever observed someone's financial decisions? Maybe they splurge on an extravagant car they can barely afford, or they consistently buy lottery tickets, or perhaps they keep a substantial amount of cash just sitting in a low-interest savings account, seemingly refusing to invest. Your immediate reaction might be, what are they thinking? That's irrational. But Housel argues that, from their perspective, based on their unique life experiences, what they're doing often feels like the most logical and sensible course of action.
It's such a critical insight. Emotion frequently overrides data in financial decision-making. It really does. People rarely base their money choices solely on objective facts and cold logic. No. Instead, their decisions are deeply influenced by their feelings, their personal histories, and the specific socioeconomic environment they grew up in. Understanding this emotional underpinning is absolutely essential to truly grasp why individuals interact with their money in the ways they do.
Right. Consider two hypothetical children growing up in very different eras. One experiences a severe recession, watching their parents lose jobs, constantly witnessing the stress over unpaid bills, and overhearing hushed conversations about losing their home. Now, imagine another child growing up during a prolonged economic boom where stock markets are soaring, money seems abundant, and family vacations are a regular thing. Fast forward 20 or 30 years. Is it truly conceivable that these two individuals would approach concepts like money, risk tolerance, or investment with the same mindset?
Not at all. Their formative experiences create profoundly different financial worldviews. The child from the recession era might prioritize extreme caution, saving every possible dollar, driven by a deep-seated fear of scarcity. Conversely, the child from the boom period might be more inclined to take bold risks, having learned that opportunities are plentiful and markets generally recover. And this isn't about one person being inherently smarter. It's simply a reflection of the timing of their critical economic experiences. Factors like unemployment rates, prevailing interest rates, and the availability of job opportunities impact different generations in distinct ways, permanently shaping their financial lenses.
Or, take a seemingly counterintuitive example. Why do some individuals, often from lower income backgrounds, spend money on lottery tickets? From a purely rational statistical viewpoint, it appears to be an incredibly poor allocation of limited resources, right?
Yeah.
Given the minuscule odds of winning.
Yet if you try to view the world through their eyes, maybe living paycheck to paycheck with little prospect of upward mobility, no extravagant vacations, limited educational opportunities for their kids, well, the act of buying a lottery ticket takes on a different meaning. For some, it's not just gambling, it's like buying a dream. It's a momentary escape from a harsh reality, a brief flicker of hope that life could, perhaps, radically change. From their perspective, it offers a form of emotional value that transcends the low statistical probability of financial gain. So the profound lesson from this chapter is that everyone operates from a unique narrative about money, a story profoundly shaped by their personal experiences, not solely by logic. Therefore, instead of making snap judgments about others' financial choices, try asking, what story are they telling themselves? And for valuable self-reflection, look at your own past financial decisions and ask, what underlying story or belief was I operating from at that time?
Yeah, that's powerful. And it's truly remarkable how recent many of our commonplace financial tools actually are. Consider retirement accounts, credit cards, or mutual funds. They are relatively modern inventions. Really, think about it. Just 2 generations ago, the concept of retirement as we know it barely existed. People typically worked until they physically couldn't anymore. Retirement accounts like 401ks only became widespread in the 1970s. And stock market apps, which put the entire financial world at our fingertips, are scarcely older than smartphones themselves.
Right. This historical context is vital for understanding why we all inevitably make financial missteps. We're still navigating a relatively new landscape. It's not that we're inherently bad with money. We're often just, well, new to managing these complex, evolving systems. You wouldn't expect a novice driver to master Formula One racing overnight, yet we often place similar, unrealistic expectations on ourselves in the financial realm. Recognizing this human element fosters not only better personal money management, but also a deeper, more empathetic understanding of others' financial journeys, and crucially, of your own.
That deep understanding of individual perspectives brings us to another critical realization. We often attribute success solely to skill and failure to mistakes. But what if there are powerful, unseen forces at play? That's what we explore next. Our next insight comes from Chapter 2, Luck and Risk. Picture this scenario. 2 individuals, seemingly possessing equal intelligence and work ethic, pursue similar paths. Yet one ends up achieving immense wealth, while the other faces bankruptcy. We're often quick to label the former a genius and the latter a failure. But Morgan Housel challenges this simplistic view, revealing a profound truth. Success is rarely just skill, and failure is rarely just a mistake. Behind every outcome, 2 invisible yet immensely powerful forces are always at work: luck and risk.
Absolutely. Overlooking the significant roles of luck and risk can lead to both unwarranted arrogance when things go well and unfair condemnation when they don't. We tend to create these neat narratives of success and failure, attributing them entirely to individual agency, but this overlooks the powerful influence of these often random variables.
Consider the compelling story of Bill Gates, the co-founder of Microsoft, one of the wealthiest individuals in history. We readily acknowledge his genius and relentless work ethic, sure, but Housel shares a lesser-known, pivotal detail. In the mid-1960s, while most high school students were still learning on chalkboards, Bill Gates attended a private school that happened to have a state-of-the-art teletype computer terminal. This was an extraordinarily rare privilege at the time. In the entire world, perhaps only a few hundred high school students had such access. Gates stumbled upon this opportunity, used it extensively, and developed the foundational skills that would eventually lead to Microsoft. Was he brilliant? Absolutely. Did he work hard? Undeniably. But his early unexpected access to that cutting-edge technology was undeniably a stroke of luck that profoundly shaped his entire trajectory.
Now, in poignant contrast, consider Kent Evans, Gates's best friend. Evans was equally brilliant, equally driven, and shared Gates's fervent passion for computers. They dreamt of building a company together, a shared vision for the future. Yet their paths tragically diverged when Kent Evans died in a mountain climbing accident. A simple slip, an unforeseen fall, and a life brimming with potential was abruptly cut short. This stark comparison vividly illustrates how luck and risk operate as 2 sides of the same coin. They are forces largely beyond our control, capable of propelling us to great heights or bringing us crashing down, often with far greater impact than individual intelligence or effort.
Think about 2 identical businesses founded simultaneously with similar resources and effort. One flourishes, becoming a major success. The other, despite similar dedication, goes bankrupt. We're often inclined to attribute the success to the founder's genius and the failure to their missteps.
But if we look closer, the success might have been catalyzed by a fortunate break, like unexpectedly securing a huge client or receiving a timely investment. Conversely, the failure could have stemmed from an unforeseen emergency, a severe health crisis for the founder, a sudden shift in industry regulations, or a global event that decimated their market. The initial decisions might have been perfectly sound, but the ultimate outcomes were dramatically different due to the interplay of luck and risk. It's often uncomfortable to acknowledge this, as luck feels arbitrary and risk is unsettling, but ignoring their presence merely increases our susceptibility to overconfidence and biased judgments.
Another powerful illustration comes from the financial world. Richard Husson, a prominent Merrill Lynch executive in the 2000s, projected an image of immense success. He lived in a sprawling mansion, drove luxury cars, and commanded a stellar reputation. But beneath this glittering surface lay a significant vulnerability, massive personal debt. When the 2008 financial crisis struck, his heavily leveraged position left him exposed, and he lost everything.
Contrast Fusone's fate with Ronald Reed, a humble gas station attendant and janitor from a small town. Reed lived frugally, quietly saving and investing consistently over decades. He was largely unnoticed until his passing. When it was revealed, he had amassed a fortune exceeding $8 million. Wow. The profound difference between these two men's outcomes wasn't intelligence, ambition, or social standing. It was the divergent impact of luck and risk on their chosen financial paths, combined with Reed's understanding of vulnerability and Fusone's lack thereof. As Morgan Housel wisely observes, success is a lousy teacher. It seduces smart people into thinking they can't lose, and true. So the crucial lesson from this chapter is to approach both success and failure with caution. What appears intelligent might simply be the result of good fortune, and what seems foolish might be a consequence of bad luck. Don't allow your victories to inflate your ego, nor your setbacks to crush your spirit. Sometimes the outcome isn't a direct reflection of your actions, but rather the unpredictable hand of luck or risk.
That last point about not letting winds go to your head brings us to another pervasive human tendency, one that often derails even the most successful individuals. We're talking about the dangerous pursuit of more, even when you already have plenty. Chapter 3 is titled, Never Enough. Perhaps you've felt it yourself. You're comfortable, bills are paid, the fridge is stocked, and there's a little extra in savings. You feel a sense of security. But then an insidious question creeps into your mind. Is this truly enough? Enough to stop worrying, to feel happy, to be completely safe, not just today, but forever. This internal dialogue rarely quiets down as your income or net worth grows. Instead, the enough goalpost simply shifts, moving farther away the closer you seem to get. This chapter masterfully unpacks the perilous trap of endlessly chasing more.
It's a compelling question. Why is it so incredibly difficult for us to ever feel like we truly have enough? The root cause, Housel argues, lies in our inherent tendency for endless social comparison. As soon as you accumulate more wealth, achieve higher status, or experience greater success, you invariably begin to compare yourself to others who possess even more. This comparative treadmill, unfortunately, never ends.
Consider the real-life story of Rajat Gupta. Born into poverty in India, he ascended to the pinnacle of the corporate world, becoming the CEO of McKinsey & Company, one of the globe's most prestigious consulting firms. He worked tirelessly, climbing every rung of the ladder, from humble beginnings to the sophisticated boardrooms of Manhattan. By his 50s, he was flying first class, sitting on the boards of major corporations, interacting with world leaders. His net worth soared past $100 million. He commanded immense respect, wealth, and influence.
Yet, despite his extraordinary achievements, when he found himself amongst billionaires, he still felt a sense of inadequacy. He craved more, and he wanted it immediately. This insatiable desire led him to engage in insider trading, illicitly passing confidential financial information to a hedge fund friend who profited immensely. The truth, however, eventually came to light. Gupta was arrested, sentenced to prison, and lost everything. His illustrious career, his hard-earned reputation, his entire legacy, all irrevocably destroyed. He jeopardized and ultimately sacrificed everything he had and needed for something he didn't truly possess and, by any objective measure, didn't actually need.
Wow. And Gupta's story isn't an isolated incident. History is replete with individuals who risked their entire fortunes and reputations for just a little more. Take Bernie Madoff, for instance. Before his monumental Ponzi scheme was exposed, he was already a highly successful and respected figure in the financial industry. He ran a legitimate firm and amassed millions. He wasn't simply rich, he was seen as a pillar of integrity. He had far more than most people could ever dream of.
Even that, however, proved insufficient. Instead of finding contentment, he constructed an elaborate, fraudulent investment scheme, deceiving countless investors and building an immense house of cards. At its peak, his fictitious empire managed billions of dollars in fake profits. When the inevitable truth emerged, his entire world crumbled. He lost everything and spent the remainder of his life incarcerated. His actions were driven not by genuine need, but by an unquenchable, relentless desire for more, which ultimately led to the catastrophic ruin of both his enterprise and his life. As Morgan Housel concisely states, to risk what you have and need for what you don't have and don't need is foolish.
And yet, this folly is surprisingly common. People in stable, well-paying jobs leave for riskier entrepreneurial ventures simply to earn more. Individuals with large, comfortable homes feel inadequate because their neighbor's house is even grander. Those with millions constantly strive for billions. While ambition is a natural human trait, when the enough goalpost continuously shifts, true contentment becomes elusive, leading to a perpetual sense of being behind.
This is a classic manifestation of social comparison, a pervasive psychological phenomenon. Imagine earning $100,000 a year. You live comfortably, manage to save a bit, enjoy occasional travel. By most standards, you're doing very well. But if your colleague earns $200,000, suddenly your enough no longer feels adequate. This can compel you to work harder, push boundaries, or take on greater risks, perpetuating a relentless cycle. That coworker might then compare themselves to someone earning $1 million, who in turn might look at a hedge fund manager, and that manager might envy a figure like Warren Buffett or Elon Musk. The latter, you see, has no final rung. This endless upward gaze tricks us into believing we are lacking, even when we possess more than sufficient resources. It's akin to being at a buffet. You filled your plate, you feel satisfied, even full, but then you spot someone else piling their plate high with lobster tails and imported cheeses, and suddenly you feel you're missing out. So you go back for more, only to end up uncomfortably stuffed and regretting your overindulgence. You didn't stop when you had enough, you allowed someone else's plate to dictate your needs.
So what's the fundamental takeaway from this chapter? The ability to define your personal enough stands out as one of the most vital financial skills you can cultivate. This clarity allows you to sidestep unnecessary risks that could jeopardize everything you've meticulously built, and it helps you maintain focus on what genuinely matters to you. Sometimes the wisest financial maneuver isn't to accelerate and pursue more, but rather to pause, reflect, and recognize that the abundance you already possess is, in fact, truly beautiful. Often, the wealthiest individuals aren't those who accumulate the most, but rather those who possess the profound wisdom to know when to stop.
By establishing your own clear boundaries for enough, you prevent external comparisons from dictating your life, thereby liberating yourself to pursue genuine contentment and financial equilibrium.
That profound lesson about knowing when to stop and understanding what truly matters sets the stage for our next topic. We'll explore a quiet, unassuming force that, despite its seemingly boring nature, is the true engine behind immense wealth creation. Chapter 4 is dedicated to confounding compounding. When asked about the most potent force in building wealth, many might immediately think of a massive salary, a brilliant investment strategy, or a groundbreaking business idea. Yet, Morgan Housel argues none of these are the real answer. The true engine of wealth accumulation is something far less glamorous, something you likely already have access to. It's not flashy, it's not exciting, and in fact, can seem quite dull, but its effects are nothing short of magical. Housel calls this powerful, quiet force confounding compounding. This chapter delves into why this seemingly unremarkable principle is actually the secret behind monumental financial success stories.
You see, compounding is the silent exponential engine of immense wealth. It's often underestimated precisely because its effects manifest dramatically over extended periods, making it appear negligible in the short term. Its power lies in its ability to generate returns not just on your initial capital, but also on the accumulated returns themselves. It's exponential.
Let's consider a name everyone knows: Warren Buffett, a legendary figure in the world of investing and one of the wealthiest people alive. While Buffett is undeniably a brilliant investor, a crucial, often overlooked aspect of his success is the sheer duration of his investment journey. He began investing when he was just 10 years old. By the age when most people are just starting to understand what a stock is, Buffett had already been growing his capital for decades.
It's quite remarkable that over 90% of Warren Buffett's staggering wealth was accumulated after his 65th birthday. This wasn't due to him discovering some secret investment formula late in life. No, it's because compounding over those many decades had finally hit an exponential growth phase. His investments had an extraordinary amount of time to compound. His true superpower isn't merely his investing acumen, it's his unparalleled longevity and consistent presence in the market. Buffett isn't just good, he's been exceptionally good for an incredibly long time.
To visualize compounding, think of it like a snowball. You start by rolling a small ball down a gentle slope. Initially, its growth is barely perceptible. It moves slowly and picks up very little snow. But with each rotation, it gathers a bit more snow, then significantly more, and then an astonishing amount. By the time it reaches the bottom of the hill, it's transformed into a colossal mass, not just because of the snow it collected, but because of the accelerating momentum. That's precisely how money grows through compounding. Your initial savings earn a modest return, then in the subsequent period, that return itself begins to earn returns, and this cycle continues, accelerating over time. The initial increments might appear small, but over sufficient time, the accumulated growth becomes almost unbelievable. This is why Housel describes it as confounding. The ultimate results are so immense they initially defy intuitive understanding.
The challenge, however, is that most people abandon the process too soon. They save for a few years, observe seemingly minimal growth, and conclude it's ineffective, prompting them to withdraw their funds or chase faster, flashier, or riskier alternatives. But compounding by its very nature is a slow process. It demands patience above all else. It doesn't reward perfection or complex strategies, it simply rewards unwavering consistency. Our contemporary world is wired for instant gratification. Quick wins, immediate likes, same-day delivery, 5-minute meals, crash diets, viral trends. We are conditioned for right now. But compounding operates on a different clock. It plays the long game. Even modest, consistent contributions made over long periods can yield truly massive results.
So, what is the profound takeaway from this chapter? Time is, unequivocally, the ultimate asset in wealth building. The imperative is to start early, maintain consistency in your contributions, and, most importantly, remain steadfastly invested in the game. Compounding generously rewards those who persist, not for mere weeks or months, but for years, even decades. You don't require an infallible, perfect plan. What you truly need is patience and unwavering consistency.
Compounding might begin imperceptibly, but once it gains momentum, it becomes an unstoppable force. The earlier you initiate the process and the longer you remain consistent, the more substantial your results will be. You don't need a flawless strategy, you just need to allow it sufficient time. Whether you're setting aside spare change or making small monthly investments, stick with it. Trust the process. Allow your money to roll like that snowball, because the longer it rolls, the greater your future potential becomes.
That distinction between initiating and sustaining is crucial. Building wealth is one challenge, but keeping it is an entirely different game, one that trips up many. Let's explore that next. Chapter 5 asks a crucial question. Getting wealthy versus staying wealthy. Are they two sides of the same coin or entirely different skills? At first glance, they might seem indistinguishable, but Housel argues they are, in fact, two distinct endeavors requiring very different mindsets and approaches.
They really are. These are two entirely separate skill sets. The pursuit of wealth often demands ambition, a willingness to take calculated risks, and bold initiatives. It's an offensive game, requiring courage to invest in innovative ideas, launch new businesses, and seize opportunities that most people would shy away from. However, the art of staying wealthy is a fundamentally different challenge. It's a defensive game centered on survival, caution, and capital preservation. The focus shifts from maximizing returns to minimizing losses, protecting what has already been painstakingly accumulated.
Think of it like a game of poker. At the beginning, when your stack of chips is small, you might take aggressive risks, bluffing, making large bets, playing boldly to build your position. But once you've amassed a substantial pile of chips, do you continue to go all in on every hand? Of course not. Your strategy fundamentally shifts. The objective is no longer solely to win more, but crucially, to avoid squandering what you've already won.
Morgan Housel recounts the cautionary tale of Jesse Livermore, one of the most celebrated stock traders of the early 20th century. During the catastrophic 1929 market crash, when countless investors lost everything, Livermore famously amassed billions by astutely betting against the market. He was a legendary figure, confident, formidable, highly respected. However, he failed to recognize the necessity of adapting his strategy. Instead of consolidating his gains and shifting to a defensive posture, he continued to make increasingly large and reckless bets, ultimately losing his entire fortune. This stark example perfectly illustrates the peril of failing to transition from a wealth-building mindset to a wealth-preserving one. He remained in an attack mode when a defense strategy was imperative.
So what are the essential traits required to not only acquire wealth, but more importantly, to retain it? Housel identifies 3 critical characteristics. First, frugality, which means consistently living below your means even when your income affords you greater extravagance. Second, humility, the profound understanding that you are not invincible, that markets can turn, and that fortune can shift. And third, a healthy dose of fear. Not the paralyzing kind, but just enough apprehension to deter you from making reckless, impulsive decisions.
Safeguarding your accumulated wealth is analogous to fortifying your home. It might not be as exhilarating as the act of building it, but its importance is paramount. Sometimes the most astute financial decision isn't about accelerating growth, but rather about diligently protecting what you've already built. Wealth painstakingly accumulated over years can be obliterated in a single ill-conceived gamble. A fortune can be forged over decades, only to vanish in moments. This is precisely why the skill of staying wealthy is as vital, if not more so, than the initial act of getting there.
Therefore, what is the overarching lesson from this chapter? Acquiring wealth and preserving it are indeed two distinct games, and true financial mastery requires proficiency in both. Getting rich demands courage and calculated risk. Staying rich demands prudence and caution. It's a delicate balance, discerning when to sprint forward and when to deliberately slow down, when to pursue the next big opportunity and when to vigilantly protect the valuable assets you already possess. Sometimes, the most intelligent move isn't to push harder, but to pause, take a breath, and consciously affirm, I have built something truly valuable and I will not jeopardize it for the sake of merely having more.
Take smart, calculated risks, but once you've built something significant, prioritize its preservation. Build boldly, but protect wisely. That, in essence, is the true strategy for enduring wealth.
That crucial idea of protecting what you've built ties into our next insight. We often assume consistent wins are necessary for success, but Housel reveals a surprising truth. You don't need to be right all the time. In fact, a few rare wins can make up for countless losses. Chapter 6 introduces a concept called tails you win. Imagine repeatedly flipping a coin. You might get tails, 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 losing repeatedly, and then finally heads. You win. This seemingly simple metaphor encapsulates how success often manifests in the real world. When you witness someone achieving remarkable success, it can appear almost effortless or magical. But what often remains unseen are the numerous times they stumbled, failed, tried again, missed, picked themselves up, and persisted. Morgan Housel wants us to understand this fundamental truth. You don't need to be correct every single time. You merely need to be correct, and significantly so, every now and then. This chapter reveals the immense power embedded in that seemingly counterintuitive idea.
A powerful insight here is that disproportionate success frequently stems from just a handful of pivotal moments, what Housel terms tail events. These are rare, high-impact occurrences that exert massive influence. The reality is, most endeavors in business, investing, and life generally don't work out. Ideas fizzle, projects fall flat, plans unravel, and disappointments are inevitable. This is simply the nature of things. Yet occasionally, something profoundly clicks, and when it does, that singular breakthrough can more than compensate for all the preceding failures and missteps.
Consider Apple, for example. Over the decades, they've launched hundreds of products. Some were moderately successful, many were outright flops, like the Newton or the Pippin, remember those?
Oh yeah, but then came the iPhone. This single product fundamentally reshaped not just Apple's trajectory, but the entire tech industry. Apple transformed from a significant tech company into one of the most valuable corporations globally. This monumental shift wasn't because every single product they released was a runaway success, but because one of them was. While other products played their part, none approached the transformative impact of the iPhone. This illustrates the profound power of a tail event.
And this phenomenon isn't exclusive to colossal corporations. It plays out in your personal life as well. Think about it. Perhaps one new friendship fundamentally altered your entire social circle, leading to unforeseen opportunities or profound personal growth. Or a single job offer out of many applications redirected you onto an entirely new and fulfilling career path. Or a decision to move to a new city, seemingly ordinary at the time, completely reshaped your life's trajectory. These are your personal tail events. You might have tried numerous things, and 95% of them didn't yield the desired outcome. But that crucial 5%, that specific job, that particular idea, that influential person made all the difference.
So Housel's message is quite liberating. Don't expect every effort to bear fruit. In fact, anticipate that most things will not work out and cultivate an acceptance of that reality. This is an inherent part of the process. What truly matters is your persistence. You continue to try, you continue to explore, you continue to show up. This ensures that when that rare, impactful moment finally arises, you are present and ready to seize it.
The common pitfall, however, is premature capitulation. People try something once or twice, experience a setback, and quickly conclude, perhaps I'm just not cut out for this, and then they quit.
Yet the trajectory of truly successful individuals often involves repeated failures before a breakthrough. They fail consistently, then boom, a singular moment hits, one idea finally works, a tail event materializes, and suddenly they're no longer perceived as failures, but rather as geniuses. Take Michael Jordan for a powerful example. Throughout his illustrious career, he missed over 9,000 shots, lost nearly 300 games, and famously failed to make the game-winning shot 26 times.
Wow. Yet he is universally celebrated as one of the greatest basketball players of all time. Why is that?
He simply remained in the game long enough for his tail events, his extraordinary performances and championship wins to occur. Success, therefore, doesn't emerge from flawlessness. It emerges from the unwavering commitment to not quit before your pivotal tail event has the chance to materialize. The fundamental takeaway from this chapter is, Do not allow minor failures to deter you. Anticipate that the majority of your efforts will not succeed. Instead, cultivate a mindset of persistent trying, continuous exploration, and consistent presence because your next significant win could be closer than you think.
This idea of persistent effort for a few big wins connects perfectly to our next discussion, which unpacks what money truly buys. And it's not what most people assume. Chapter 7 is profoundly titled Freedom. Imagine this scenario. You awaken naturally without the jolt of an alarm clock. You leisurely stretch, savoring your breakfast. Perhaps you choose to go for a long walk, spend unhurried time with your family, immerse yourself in a book, or simply sit quietly and reflect. Crucially, there's no external pressure, no one dictating your schedule, no demands on your time. That, in its purest essence, is freedom. Now contrast that ideal with the reality of most days. The jarring alarm, the frantic rush through traffic, days that feel entirely dictated by external obligations. This stark difference between the life you yearn for and the life you currently live forms the core of this chapter.
It's a powerful question to consider. If you were given $1 million right now with no strings attached, what would you do? Would you immediately buy a mansion, a luxury car, or book an extravagant vacation? While those desires are understandable, Housel wants you to grasp that the most valuable commodity money can procure isn't simply stuff. It's control. It's the profound power to declare, I will do what I desire, when I desire, with whom I desire, for precisely as long as I desire. That, ultimately, is the true measure of wealth, the unassailable ability to control your own time.
Reflect on why so many people dream of early retirement. Why has remote work soared in popularity? Why do millions aspire to become their own boss? It's rarely just about accumulating more money. It's fundamentally about owning more of their own day. It's about achieving freedom. The freedom to leisurely drop your children off at school, to take a restorative nap in the afternoon, to silence your phone without provoking panic in others. The profound freedom to refuse what drains your energy and enthusiastically embrace what truly ignites your spirit. And surprisingly, that seemingly simple feeling, that profound control of your time, is what most individuals are unconsciously chasing, even if they haven't explicitly articulated it.
True wealth, therefore, isn't solely quantified in dollars. Its most significant metric is measured in time. Specifically, the time you command, the irreplaceable moments you reclaim. In our modern world, we are perpetually bombarded by emails, notifications, relentless deadlines, and the pervasive culture of constant hustle. Being busy has become an undeserved badge of honor. Yet beneath the surface, most people aren't relentlessly pursuing more. They're desperately seeking space. They crave the ability to breathe, to live life autonomously. And the encouraging truth is, you don't need to be a multimillionaire to attain this type of freedom. You simply need to prioritize the value of your time above the fleeting allure of material status.
Morgan Housel recounts a telling anecdote where he asked a wealthy friend, "What's your ultimate financial goal?" His friend's response wasn't a desire for a super yacht or an early retirement. Instead, he said, "I want to wake up every day and genuinely feel that I can do whatever I want today. No fixed schedule, no boss, no external pressure."
And that feeling, that profound sense of autonomy, is the essence of true wealth. The ultimate purpose of money is to acquire control over your time. You don't necessarily need millions in a bank account. You need sufficient resources to make choices that align with your values, enough to walk away from situations that drain you, and enough to say yes to what truly energizes you. Freedom might not be visible in your financial statements, but you will profoundly experience it in your daily schedule, in your unhurried mornings, in your deepest peace of mind, and in the genuine joy that radiates from within you.
We're well past the halfway mark of this enlightening summary of the psychology of money. And if these insights are resonating with you as powerfully as they are with us, we invite you to consider hitting that subscribe button for Book Blinker. Your support helps us continue to bring you more valuable explorations and comprehensive summaries like this directly to you, empowering you to become well-informed faster. All right, Chapter 8 brings us a fascinating psychological insight called Man in the Car Paradox. Have you ever spotted someone driving a brand new, gleaming luxury car and thought to yourself, wow, that person must really be successful? Be honest, it's a common human reaction. But here's Morgan Housel's surprising revelation. The individual behind the wheel rarely receives the admiration they believe they're garnering. Why? Because the vast majority of onlookers aren't actually thinking about them. Instead, they're vividly imagining themselves driving that impressive vehicle. This fundamental disconnect between our perceived admiration and the reality of how others react is what Housel cleverly terms the man in the car paradox.
It's a striking truth. The admiration doesn't attach to the person who owns the object. It's directed squarely at the object itself. We often operate under the misconception that acquiring a lavish car, a sprawling mansion, or designer clothing will somehow bestow upon us universal admiration and respect. In reality, people simply admire the material possession, not necessarily the individual who owns it. When you encounter someone driving a vibrant red Ferrari, are your thoughts focused on, that person must be truly incredible? Or are you instead thinking, imagine how incredible I would look driving that car? You're not admiring them, you're admiring the car and projecting yourself into that glamorous scenario, and therein lies the paradox.
This phenomenon becomes problematic because so many individuals spend substantial sums of money on things, not purely out of desire for the item itself, but specifically because they wish to be perceived in a particular way. Their unspoken thought process is, if I wear this brand, drive this vehicle, or reside in this neighborhood, people will inevitably conclude that I've made it. They will surely respect me more.
Yet people often don't admire you as much as you assume. In fact, they're predominantly preoccupied with their own thoughts and desires. If you enter a room wearing an exquisite designer jacket, your unspoken hope is that others will think, that person exudes success. But what they're actually thinking is more likely, could I pull off that look? Would I ever choose to wear that? How would that look on me? Their internal monologue is not about you. It's a mental slideshow focused entirely on their own aspirations and identity. We significantly overestimate the extent to which others notice or genuinely care about what we wear, drive, or possess, largely because, truthfully, we all dedicate far more cognitive energy to ourselves than to others.
This pervasive mindset extends seamlessly into the realm of social media. We meticulously curate and post images of exotic vacations, newly acquired gadgets, and luxurious dining experiences, anticipating widespread adulation.
However, most people engaging with such content are merely scrolling, comparing their own lives, fantasizing, and wondering if they could ever attain what you're showcasing. The engagement isn't fundamentally about you, it's about them. And this isn't a judgment, it's simply a profound aspect of human nature. The individuals who garner the most authentic admiration are typically not those who actively seek it. They embody genuine kindness, demonstrate humility, and consistently treat others with respect. These are the qualities that cultivate real, enduring admiration, far more effectively than any expensive car, designer jacket, or perfectly curated Instagram feed ever could. The core takeaway from this chapter is that attempting to impress others with displays of wealth almost invariably backfires. If you aspire to earn true, lasting respect, shift your focus from outwardly demonstrating what you possess to genuinely embodying qualities worth admiring. Kindness, humility, and consistently treating others well. These intrinsic characteristics foster genuine, enduring respect, not fleeting envy.
That distinction between what's seen and what's truly valuable brings us to an invisible form of wealth, the kind that never appears in social media posts. Let's unravel that next. Chapter 9 reveals a critical truth. Wealth is what you don't see. When the image of a wealthy person forms in your mind, what do you typically envision? Is it a sprawling mansion atop a hill, a gleaming Ferrari pulling into the driveway, or perhaps an exquisite wristwatch that costs more than your annual salary? While these images are commonly associated with affluence, here's the crucial twist. Those visible possessions don't actually signify wealth. They simply illustrate how much wealth was spent. In essence, the authentic sign of true wealth isn't what people ostentatiously display. It's precisely what they keep private.
That's exactly it. The insight here is that those visible markers of luxury don't actually display wealth. Rather, they demonstrate how much wealth has been liquidated or consumed. True wealth resides quietly in a robust savings account or grows steadily within an investment portfolio. It embodies the financial freedom that isn't broadcast on Instagram. It's the profound peace of mind that cannot be worn on your wrist. Wealth, in its most potent form, is inherently invisible.
Most individuals inadvertently conflate wealth with richness. They observe someone spending lavishly and automatically infer that the person possesses immense financial reserves. But the fundamental reality is that wealth isn't measured by what you acquire and spend. It's defined by what you meticulously preserve and grow. It's not the expensive car or the extravagant vacation. It's the capital sitting patiently in savings or appreciating silently within an investment portfolio.
Let's consider a common scenario. Someone purchases a $10,000 luxury watch. You perceive its sparkle, its prestigious brand, the attention it commands, and you might instinctively conclude that the wearer is immensely successful. But what you are actually witnessing is $10,000 that is now gone, expended, consumed, no longer saved, no longer invested, no longer actively generating returns. That capital is no longer working for them, it's merely adorning their wrist. Now, contrast this with an individual who wears a simple, functional $50 watch, but discreetly possesses hundreds of thousands of dollars diligently invested. Who, in reality, is wealthier? The answer is clear. It's the person you at least suspect, because true wealth often remains unseen.
Here's the pervasive trap that ensnares many. We mistakenly believe that conspicuous consumption is irrefutable evidence of financial success. However, more often than not, spending is merely evidence that you once possessed money and now you have less of it. We proudly showcase the brand new car, the exotic vacation, the extravagant dinner. But Morgan Housel delivers a stark warning. Spending money to show people how much money you have is the fastest way to have less of it.
Right. This is because genuine wealth, the kind that cultivates lasting freedom, profound peace of mind, and robust security, is frequently entirely invisible. Its essence lies not in outward displays, but in the quiet, consistent act of building something solid and enduring behind the scenes. Each time we exchange hard-earned dollars for fleeting impressions, we are, in effect, relinquishing potential freedom and long-term security. Consider your neighbor with a shiny, top-of-the-line new SUV. It looks undeniably impressive, right? But perhaps they are burdened by substantial debt, with that car loan consuming a significant portion of their monthly income. Now, across the street, another neighbor drives a reliable 10-year-old Honda. No flashy upgrades, no attention-grabbing features, yet they are completely debt-free, having diligently saved and invested for years. And if they were to lose their job tomorrow, they would remain financially stable. You would likely never guess, but they possess genuine financial strength. True financial fortitude is often hidden from view and rarely garners social media applause.
So what's the profound implication here? The central lesson from this chapter is that wealth is fundamentally defined by what you don't spend. It encompasses your savings, your investments, your underlying financial security, and the freedom those provide, rather than material possessions. The most robust form of wealth. It will often go entirely unnoticed because it's diligently working for you in the background, silently accumulating.
It's the quiet, often unglamorous decisions that underpin true financial security and enduring prosperity.
Building on that idea of quiet strength, our next insight delves into a concept so simple it often gets overlooked, yet Housel claims it's the single most powerful habit in the entire financial game. Let's unpack that. Chapter 10 is titled, Save Money. Have you ever diligently saved for a specific major purchase, only to find yourself using that money for something entirely different? Or perhaps you accumulated an emergency fund, and thankfully the emergency never materialized, leaving you to ponder, what was the real purpose of all that saving if I never actually utilized it for its intended goal?
Housel offers a remarkably potent answer to this common dilemma. The fundamental purpose of saving money isn't always to earmark it for a predetermined expense. Sometimes its most valuable function is simply to afford yourself options. Life, by its very nature, is unpredictable. It rarely adheres to a pre-written script. Unforeseen emergencies will inevitably arise, and unexpected opportunities will present themselves precisely when you least anticipate them. If every dollar you save is rigidly tied to a single specific purpose, you forfeit the invaluable flexibility required to adapt to life's inherent uncertainties.
Consider the act of saving money as diligently constructing a robust safety net beneath you. You're not building it because you anticipate falling. Rather, you're building it because life has an uncanny habit of catching you off balance without warning. Imagine your car suddenly breaks down, or you unexpectedly lose your job, or a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity emerges that you desperately want to seize.
If you've cultivated the habit of saving, not for a precise purpose, but simply as a general principle, then you are inherently prepared. You avoid the need to panic, to incur burdensome debt, or to lament a missed opportunity. Instead, you can respond with quiet confidence and decisive action. That is the profound power inherent in saving without a fixed reason. Housel identifies this as one of the most impactful habits in personal finance precisely because it bestows flexibility. It grants you precious time, it creates invaluable space, and crucially, it provides something most individuals deeply crave but rarely possess. Control over your reactions, control over what you choose to walk away from, and control over what new paths you choose to pursue.
To articulate it differently, having accumulated savings without a specific, immediate objective is akin to possessing a profound, quiet confidence. You're not overtly displaying your financial strength, nor are you ostentatiously flaunting it. Yet deep down, you hold the reassuring knowledge that you possess the resilience to navigate whatever challenges life presents. That particular brand of understated strength, that is the essence of genuine wealth. Morgan Housel encapsulates it succinctly. Saving without a specific goal isn't pointless, it's powerful. It is the financial buffer that quietly affirms your ability to be resilient, not because you accurately predicted the future, but because you proactively prepared for its inherent unpredictability.
The core lesson from this chapter is make it a habit to save money, even when you don't have a distinct, immediate reason to. Save because it bestows options, cultivates peace of mind, and grants you essential control when life inevitably throws curveballs. It is fundamentally about being prepared for the unforeseen rather than fruitlessly attempting to predict it. When the unexpected inevitably occurs, as it always does, you will find yourself ready, not scrambling, not trapped, but steady, composed, and in charge.
That focus on preparedness, rather than prediction, leads us to a crucial distinction in financial decision-making. We often feel immense pressure to always make the perfect choice. But what if good enough is not just acceptable, but actually superior? Chapter 11 explores the compelling idea that reasonable is greater than rational. Have you ever made a financial decision that, while perhaps not making perfect mathematical sense, simply felt right in your gut? This could be paying off a low-interest loan ahead of schedule, even though conventional wisdom suggests investing that money for potentially higher returns, or maintaining a larger cash reserve than experts recommend. If this resonates with you, you are far from alone. This chapter brilliantly explains why being reasonable, that is, doing what truly makes sense for your unique circumstances and allows you to sleep soundly at night, is often a far more effective strategy than striving for perfect rationality, which typically means mathematically optimizing for the absolute highest potential returns.
It's so true. The most effective financial plan is rarely the one that appears flawless on a spreadsheet. Rather, it is the one you can realistically adhere to consistently, year after year. To be rational implies making choices that are designed to yield the absolute highest possible financial returns, a mindset often lauded by economists and espoused in traditional finance textbooks. However, the critical flaw in this purely rational approach is that we are not emotionless algorithms. We are complex human beings with a spectrum of emotions, diverse goals, and deeply personal definitions of what success genuinely entails. This is precisely why adopting a reasonable approach, prioritizing decisions that foster your peace of mind, can often prove to be the superior choice, even if it deviates from strict mathematical optimization.
Let's consider a practical example. You have a mortgage with an exceptionally low interest rate. From a purely rational standpoint, a financial advisor might counsel you against paying it off early, suggesting you invest that capital elsewhere for potentially greater returns. That would indeed be the rational maneuver. However, if that lingering debt causes you profound anxiety, if it feels like a persistent weight on your shoulders, or if the psychological security of being entirely debt-free is paramount to your well-being, then choosing to pay it off prematurely despite the low interest rate is not irrational. It is profoundly reasonable. And that emotional peace of mind holds immense value for your overall well-being.
A core principle Housel emphasizes is that a financial plan, no matter how brilliantly conceived on paper, is ultimately ineffective if it generates so much stress in real life that you abandon it. Conversely, a good enough plan that genuinely resonates with you, one that you feel comfortable and confident pursuing, is the plan you will consistently stick with. And it is that unwavering consistency that is the true determinant of long-term financial success. Think of it like a fitness regimen. While the scientifically perfect workout plan might be meticulously designed for optimal results, if it's overly stringent, excessively intense, or overly complicated, you are highly likely to quit. A good enough workout plan, one that seamlessly integrates into your lifestyle and feels sustainable, is the one that will actually yield results over time. The same logic applies directly to your finances. You don't need the mathematically optimal strategy, you simply need one that makes profound sense for you.
So, perhaps you choose to maintain a larger cash reserve than financial experts typically advise. Perhaps you lean towards more conservative investments. Or maybe you simply adhere to a straightforward, low-cost investment strategy. If these choices contribute to your ability to sleep better at night, if they foster consistency in your financial habits, and if they enable you to remain steadfastly engaged in the market for decades, then these are not weaknesses. They are profoundly wise decisions. Housel aptly states, reasonable may not win you debates at dinner parties, but it wins in real life. If a financial decision cultivates calmness, prevents panic, and allows you to consistently progress towards your goals, then it's unequivocally the correct decision for you.
This is why Housel suggests it's not only acceptable, but often strategic, to allow your emotions to play a role in your financial decision-making. Ultimately, money transcends mere numbers. It is intricately woven with our feelings and our deepest aspirations for peace of mind. The crucial lesson from this chapter is, you don't require an impeccable financial blueprint. You need a plan that genuinely resonates with your individual circumstances and values. If it instills confidence, propels you forward, and enables you to sleep soundly at night, then it is an excellent plan. Prioritize unwavering consistency and emotional tranquility over the elusive pursuit of mathematical perfection.
That emphasis on building a plan you can stick to, even if it's not perfect, is vital, because no matter how well you plan, there's always one factor that will disrupt everything. We'll delve into the power of the unexpected next. Chapter 12 is titled Surprise. Morgan Housel makes a powerful assertion. When it comes to money, it's not the planned events that shape your life, but the ones you never expected. This chapter is dedicated to exploring the profound impact of these unforeseen occurrences.
Indeed, in the realm of personal finance, it is truly the unanticipated seismic events, rather than the meticulously planned ones, that profoundly alter our trajectories. History itself is not primarily shaped by averages or predictable trends, but by outliers. Think about it. The meteoric rise of the internet, the devastating events of 9/11, the dramatic dot-com bubble burst, the emergence of Bitcoin, or the recent explosion of artificial intelligence. Almost no one accurately predicted these phenomena, yet each has profoundly reshaped the world and our financial lives in ways we are still grappling with today.
Take the events of September 11th, for example. That single horrific day irrevocably altered global economies, transformed the travel industry, reshaped national security priorities, and much more. But how many financial models existing prior to that day had a terrorist attack of that magnitude factored into their forecasts? Virtually none. Or consider the dot-com bubble in the late 1990s. Initially, it spawned unprecedented wealth seemingly out of thin air, only to then spectacularly collapse, wiping out trillions. The inherent nature of the future is its boundless capacity for surprise.
Housel contends that we must reevaluate our historical lens, recognizing that the most significant transformations are driven by outliers, not by the statistical mean. While the majority of time may be characterized by normalcy, every so often, a truly monumental event occurs. Housel aptly labels these tail events. They are rare, incredibly potent, and possess the capacity to fundamentally alter everything. Therefore, if your financial plan is designed to function flawlessly only under normal conditions, it is inherently insufficient. Traditional financial models, by their very nature, rarely account for such tail events, which can lead to overconfidence and a dangerous lack of preparedness. It is a critical fallacy to assume that simply because something has not transpired before, it is impossible for it to occur tomorrow.
So, what is the profound lesson embedded here? Do not expect the future to merely be a linear extension of the past, because the past itself failed to foresee its own future. Consider your retirement planning. You might meticulously analyze historical market averages, past returns, and typical inflation rates. This seems like a prudent data-driven approach, right?
However, if your comprehensive plan does not incorporate significant buffers for the unexpected, such as a sudden severe illness, an unanticipated job loss, or a drastic market downturn, even the most meticulously crafted scheme can rapidly unravel. Morgan Housel's sage counsel is clear. Don't try to predict surprises, just prepare for them. How does one prepare for the inherently unpredictable? By building substantial flexibility into your financial blueprints. Cultivate an expectation of the unexpected. Deliberately incorporate a margin for error, and embrace the wisdom of not possessing all the answers, for no one truly does, especially concerning the future. Life is inherently unpredictable, markets are perpetually messy, and the world undergoes rapid continuous change. But if your financial plan is imbued with adaptability, if you anticipate the unforeseen, you need not fear surprise. You will be ready. Perhaps not perfectly, but sufficiently so. And often that sufficiency is precisely what is required.
In essence, the profound takeaway from this chapter is, if your financial plan fails to incorporate provisions for surprises, it remains a dangerous fantasy. The future is an unpredictable tapestry woven with unforeseen events. You cannot reliably predict them, but you can most certainly prepare for them. Therefore, do not construct your life around a false premise of certainty. Instead, build it upon a foundation of robust resilience. Plan with a confident outlook, but always allocate ample room for chaos, so that when the unexpected inevitably arrives, as it always will, you will remain steadfast, prepared, and capable of moving forward.
When chaos does arrive, you will indeed be ready.
That crucial idea of preparing for surprises leads us directly to the concept of building in protective buffers. We'll explore how a little cushion, a little slack in your plan can shield you from financial disaster. Chapter 13 builds directly on the previous insights with the concept of room for error. Have you ever meticulously crafted a plan that felt absolutely foolproof? You crunched all the numbers, synchronized your calendar, and every single detail seemed perfectly aligned. But then, boom, one minor unforeseen hitch occurs, and your entire perfectly constructed plan spectacularly unravels. The reality is, life rarely unfolds precisely according to script. Surprises are inevitable. Mistakes are guaranteed. And when these disruptions occur, the individuals who not only survive but actually thrive are rarely those who possessed infallible predictions. They are consistently the ones who had wisely incorporated a significant margin for error into their strategies. This chapter illuminates the indispensable nature of that margin.
The striking truth is that life does not adhere to scripts. It consistently throws curveballs. If your carefully constructed budget, your accumulated savings, or your intricate investment plan is predicated on the assumption that everything will proceed without a single misstep, then it is inherently precarious, just one unexpected bump away from significant trouble. Jobs are lost, markets experience abrupt downturns, and unforeseen bills invariably materialize. And here's the critical distinction. It's not the surprise itself that precipitates failure, it's the absence of any buffer or room to recover from that surprise.
So what exactly constitutes room for error? Housel articulates it succinctly. Always plan for things not to go according to plan. This acknowledges that you can execute every decision flawlessly and still encounter an undesirable outcome simply because life's inherent unpredictability intervenes. It's not about cultivating a negative outlook. Rather, it's about embracing a proactive stance of preparedness. It's the foresight to ask, what if I am mistaken? What if an unexpected life event occurs? Do I possess a protective cushion, or am I precariously navigating a tightrope without a safety net?
Consider a relatable analogy. Your smartphone battery. You typically don't wait until it dwindles to 1% before plugging it in. Instead, you charge it when it's still at 20% or 30% because you intuitively understand that unforeseen demands on its power might arise. This is precisely what room for error accomplishes for your finances. It represents your financial battery life. And in a world where surprises are a guaranteed part of the journey, it is the fundamental element that sustains you through adversity. That is the profound power of building in room for error. It provides essential breathing space when life deviates from your carefully laid plans.
Even the most astute investors, the most accomplished business leaders, and the most meticulous planners are occasionally impacted by bad luck. Markets can crash, jobs can disappear without warning, and emergencies can strike unexpectedly.
However, what distinguishes these resilient individuals from the rest is their deliberate choice to create space. They build in slack. Their ambition isn't to achieve unattainable perfection. Rather, their strategy is to proactively plan for chaos. This isn't born of fear, it's born of a pragmatic understanding of life. What truly matters is whether you have proactively woven a robust buffer into your financial blueprint. This buffer could manifest as a fully funded emergency reserve, a commitment to consistently living below your means, or the cultivation of a second, diversified income stream. It may not be glamorous or exciting, but its effectiveness is undeniable, because when something inevitably goes awry, you won't be paralyzed by panic. You will possess the capacity to adapt, adjust, and continue moving forward.
To summarize, the fundamental takeaway from this chapter is, true financial success emerges from your preparedness for being wrong, rather than from an unrealistic expectation of always being right. Therefore, diligently build financial cushions into your budget, your savings, and your overarching mindset. Room for error is not merely a fallback plan. It is the indispensable bedrock of every robust and resilient financial strategy.
It's the essential groundwork that empowers you to navigate the unpredictable nature of life with profound resilience.
Building that flexibility for the unexpected is key, especially when we consider that one of the biggest unknowns isn't the market or the economy, but ourselves. Our next chapter explores how much we change over time. Chapter 14, You'll Change, confronts us with a powerful truth about ourselves. Have you ever scrolled through old social media posts and felt a pang of disbelief, thinking, I can't believe I used to hold that viewpoint? Or perhaps you meticulously saved for a particular dream purchase, only to realize later that your desire for it had completely evaporated. Or simply reflect on the person you were just 5 years ago. What music captivated you? What were your driving goals? What core beliefs did you hold about success? Now, how many of those aspirations or convictions remain entirely true today? Chances are a considerable amount has shifted. Yet we frequently make significant long-term decisions based purely on who we are in this moment, often neglecting the profound reality that our future selves might desire something entirely different. This chapter delves into this fascinating, often overlooked aspect of human evolution.
This prevalent assumption that our future selves will remain static is problematic because it invariably leads us to construct rigid, long-term financial plans for a future version of ourselves that we haven't even encountered yet. Housel aptly terms this the end of history illusion, a cognitive bias where we readily acknowledge the extensive personal changes we've undergone in the past, yet paradoxically assume that our evolution will magically cease from this point forward. It's fascinating, isn't it?
It really is. Let's imagine you're 25 years old, meticulously planning for your life at 55. Your visions might include retiring to a luxurious beach house, driving an expensive sports car, or installing a lavish home spa. But here's the crucial caveat. That 55-year-old version of you might harbor entirely different priorities. Perhaps instead of a beach house, they prioritize spending quality time with their grandchildren. Rather than desiring more luxury, they crave profound peace. Instead of accumulating more material possessions, they seek deeper meaning and connection.
If your financial plan is too inflexible, designed solely to accommodate the person you are today, your future self might discover they are trapped within a life that no longer aligns with their evolving values and desires. Housel's message isn't a rejection of planning. Rather, it's a fervent advocacy for incorporating robust flexibility. Acknowledging that your goals, interests, and fundamental values are highly likely to shift over time empowers you with the crucial ability to adapt. You don't need to predict your entire future perfectly today. You simply need to build in sufficient room for adjustment. Because the individual you will become in 5, 10, or 20 years is in many ways a stranger you have yet to meet.
This inherent unpredictability of our future selves is precisely why pursuing grand, ostentatious goals simply because they appear desirable today can ultimately backfire. That aspirational car, that seemingly perfect vacation, that sprawling opulent house, they might lose all significance to you in a decade. And to have dedicated years of effort to chasing them, only to realize they no longer bring you happiness, is a truly bitter pill to swallow.
The essential takeaway from this chapter is meticulously plan for change. Embrace the profound truth that your future self is, in essence, an unknown entity. Therefore, construct strong yet inherently flexible financial plans that possess the capacity to evolve alongside you, effectively supporting both your present needs and the shifting values of your future self. Cultivate a profound peace with the certainty of change, because the most effective financial plan is one that is ready to serve the evolving version of you, even before you've fully encountered them.
Embracing change and building flexible plans is a great way to approach finances. But it's important to remember that nothing truly valuable comes without a cost. That cost isn't always obvious, but it's always there. Let's explore that hidden price next. Chapter 15, Nothing's Free, dives into a fundamental truth about success, particularly financial success. Have you ever found yourself staring at a plummeting market graph, plagued by a gnawing doubt, thinking, is this truly worth it? The sleepless nights, the persistent knot in my stomach each morning? If so, you're not alone. The reality is, when it comes to money, much like most valuable pursuits in life, nothing is truly free. But the price you ultimately pay doesn't always materialize as a straightforward monetary fee. Sometimes that cost manifests as intense stress, pervasive uncertainty, demanding patience, or profound discomfort.
It's a universal principle. Nothing in life is truly free, and this applies especially to the attainment of success. The true cost of building enduring wealth isn't solely financial, it is profoundly emotional. We typically conceptualize cost in monetary terms. We pay for a movie ticket, settle a dinner bill. However, when the focus shifts to investing or wealth creation, the price assumes a different form. Instead of primarily paying with money, you often pay with time, you pay with doubt, and you pay with a spectrum of emotional ups and downs. And the unfortunate truth is, most people fail to anticipate this hidden emotional price.
Take investing in the stock market, for instance. There isn't an upfront fee just to participate. But the genuine cost, it's the palpable stress of witnessing your portfolio value sharply decline. It's the arduous task of maintaining composure during a prolonged economic recession. It's the discipline of holding steady when irrational panic grips everyone around you. It's the persistent anxiety of grappling with the unknown, the inherent unpredictability of future market movements. That is the often unseen price of building long-term wealth.
And if you're not mentally prepared to shoulder that emotional burden, you might prematurely cash out your investments precisely at the point before they yield their most substantial gains. Consider it akin to a roller coaster ride. You pay an admission fee, and you willingly strap in for the thrilling, often disorienting experience. Once secured, the exhilarating highs and the stomach-lurching lows are simply integral components of the ride itself. The journey of money is no different. Market volatility, inherent risk, and pervasive uncertainty are not indicators that something is amiss. Rather, they are the very price of admission to participate in the game of wealth creation.
And here's where many individuals make a critical conceptual error. They perceive that emotional cost as a fine, as if it were a punitive penalty for having made a wrong decision.
Housel draws a crucial distinction here. It's not a fine, but a fee, the necessary cost of admission to something profoundly valuable. Once you reframe it in this manner, you transcend panic, understanding that these emotional fluctuations are simply an inherent part of the arrangement. So in the future, when the market experiences a downturn, or your savings appear to grow agonizingly slowly, or your progress feels frustratingly stagnant, remind yourself, this is merely the fee. That fee, you see, is the toll you must pay to traverse the bridge to financial freedom. You are not off course. You are simply paying the intrinsic price that success undeniably demands.
So what's the core insight we should take from this chapter? Recognize and willingly accept the often hidden prices of success, the profound patience required, the inherent discomfort, the moments of fear, and the unwavering commitment to stay the course. These emotional fees are the unavoidable toll required to cross the bridge to financial freedom, and the long-term rewards they unlock are unequivocally worth the payment.
The pertinent question isn't whether a cost exists, rather, it is this. Are you prepared to pay that price to attain what genuinely matters to you?
That idea of paying your own price leads us directly to why trying to emulate others' financial paths can be so dangerous. We'll examine why comparison is a trap next. Chapter 16, You and Me, delves into a profound truth about financial behavior. Have you ever wondered why one person might panic and liquidate all their investments during a market downturn, while someone else calmly sips their coffee and continues to invest? Or why your friend is fully immersed in high-risk crypto investments, while your primary focus remains on maintaining a simple, diversified portfolio?
The critical insight here is that we are all engaged in fundamentally different financial games. Therefore, comparing your own progress or decisions to those of others without a comprehensive understanding of their unique goals, timelines, or constraints can lead you to make profoundly misguided financial choices. Every individual manages money distinctly because their objectives, time horizons, and underlying rules of engagement are inherently diverse. Some are actively day trading, aiming for rapid short-term gains, while others are diligently investing for the next 3 decades. Some are focused on accumulating generational wealth, while others simply aspire to achieve early retirement or remain entirely debt-free.
This is precisely why uncritically adopting someone else's financial strategy without a clear understanding of their specific goals can be incredibly perilous. There is no universally applicable, one-size-fits-all approach to money.
You simply cannot expect to win your specific financial game if you are adhering to someone else's rules. It's akin to attempting to apply complex chess strategies within a fast-paced basketball game. The tactics simply don't translate effectively. Imagine you are meticulously running a marathon. You've trained rigorously, developed a precise pacing strategy, and are executing your plan diligently. Suddenly, another runner sprints past you. Do you instinctively chase after them? Of course not, because you have no idea if they're running a short 5K race or merely sprinting to the nearest water station. If you attempt to match their pace, you will inevitably burn out long before your own race is complete. The same principle applies to money. If someone acquires a lavish car, executes a successful stock flip, or boasts about a significant short-term gain, it might appear flashy. But they could be sprinting in a race entirely different from your own, potentially concealing immense risks or crippling debts.
Social media, of course, exacerbates this challenge. You scroll through Instagram or TikTok and encounter individuals who seemingly bought their dream home at 25, or retired years ahead of schedule, or executed a 6-figure profit on a single stock trade. This can trigger a pervasive feeling of, am I falling behind?
However, what remains unseen are the substantial risks they undertook, the hidden debts they carry, or the numerous failed trades they conveniently omit from their curated online presence. When you compare your own long-term financial journey to someone else's seemingly instant short-term victory, you risk making decisions that might feel momentarily gratifying, but could ultimately prove detrimental to your own unique path. It's like attempting to run your marathon in their shoes, only to discover they simply don't fit your stride or destination. Morgan Housel wisely reminds us, it's not about making the most money, it's about making money in a way that works for you. This profound statement underscores the necessity of understanding your unique financial fingerprint, your distinct goals, your core values, your personal timeline, and your individual risk tolerance. No one else possesses the exact same combination. This is precisely why context is so incredibly important. So before you blindly follow someone's financial advice or attempt to replicate their results, ask yourself a fundamental question. Are we even playing the same game? Because if your games are fundamentally different, their winning strategy for them could inadvertently lead you to failure.
Ultimately, the most crucial lesson from this chapter is clearly define your own financial game and leverage your inherent strengths. Resist the temptation to compare your pace to someone else's sprint or to pursue goals that simply don't align with your life's authentic direction. True financial success is not a universal benchmark. It is fundamentally about winning your own unique version of it.
It's about remaining in the game for the long haul, steadfastly working towards your unique definition of financial success.
That powerful lesson about defining your own game leads us to our penultimate insight, which tackles why we're so often drawn to negative news, even when optimism is a more accurate and profitable long-term strategy. Chapter 17, The Seduction of Pessimism, explores a curious psychological phenomenon. Have you ever noticed how your attention instantly sharpens when someone declares the market is on the brink of collapse or the economy won't withstand the next 5 years? What's your immediate reaction? Do you pause, listen intently, and perhaps feel a surge of concern? Most people do. Why? Because pessimism often feels intelligent. It feels urgent, like a critical alarm bell signaling impending danger.
Negative news undeniably captures our attention far more effectively. Fear, paradoxically, feels like privileged insider information, a secret heads-up that empowers us, while optimism can often appear mundane or even naive. For instance, consider two hypothetical headlines that flash across your screen. One states, markets anticipated to grow steadily over the next decade. The other screams, crash imminent, safeguard your savings before it's too late. Which one are you more likely to click on? Precisely. The one that evokes fear. This is because fear demands immediate attention. It triggers a primal response, making us feel as though we are privy to crucial information before disaster strikes.
But here's Morgan Housel's profound counterintuitive point. In the financial world, optimism consistently proves to be the more accurate long-term predictor. Consider the sweeping progress humanity has achieved. Global poverty rates have significantly declined, life expectancy has dramatically increased, and technological innovation continues to accelerate at an astonishing pace. While the stock market is undeniably susceptible to volatility and periodic downturns, its overarching historical trend is consistently upward. Yes, setbacks occur, crashes, recessions, even moments of widespread panic. But over the long term, sustained progress is the prevailing pattern, not the rare exception.
So why does pessimism often sound inherently more intelligent? Because it offers a sense of perceived protection. When someone issues a cautionary, be careful, they convey an air of wisdom, thoughtfulness, as if they possess insights you lack. Meanwhile, the optimist might be dismissed as naive, unrealistic, or perhaps overly hopeful. Yet Housel unequivocally reminds us, while pessimism may sound smarter, it is unwavering optimism that fuels long-term success, particularly in the realm of investing. This explains why financially successful individuals are often those who remain invested even during frightening market downturns, continue to save diligently even when headlines suggest otherwise, and steadfastly continue building their wealth while others retreat in fear. They are not disregarding risk, they are simply refusing to be controlled by it.
To be unequivocally clear, exercising caution is prudent. Meticulous preparation is wise. However, when fear becomes the sole arbiter of your financial decisions, you inevitably forfeit the very opportunities that could propel you forward. You sell your investments at the lowest point, you shy away from new investment ventures, and you remain paralyzed on the sidelines.
Over extended periods, that pervasive fear incurs a greater cost than any market crash ever could. So how can you maintain a sense of optimism in a world seemingly saturated with negative news? You consciously zoom out. You examine historical trends. You recall the overarching narrative. Yes, adverse events will transpire, but over time, positive developments persistently compound. Innovation endures. Businesses rebuild. Markets recover. Progress remains the prevailing trajectory, not the anomaly. The crucial takeaway from this chapter is, do not succumb to the allure of pessimism. While it may offer a false sense of security, genuine growth resides on the side of optimism. Prepare diligently for inevitable bumps in the road, but consistently move forward, trusting that over the long term, conditions tend to improve.
That powerful balance of preparing for bumps while staying optimistic leads us to our final deep dive into a crucial aspect of financial behavior. How the stories we tell ourselves and the stories we hear often override cold, hard facts. Chapter 18, When You'll Believe Anything, delves into a profound psychological truth. Our financial decisions are often guided more by compelling stories, whether personal experiences or captivating anecdotes, than by objective facts and logical reasoning. Have you ever encountered a financial narrative that just felt true, not because you rigorously analyzed its underlying numbers, but because it resonated deeply within your gut? Perhaps a story of someone who seemingly doubled their money overnight in the stock market, or a rags to riches tale that seemed almost miraculous. You hear it, and an immediate thought sparks. Perhaps I can achieve that too. But pause for a moment. Did your belief stem from its logical coherence or from its emotional allure?
It's a compelling observation. We are frequently influenced more by compelling narratives, stories we absorb, stories we witness, and most powerfully, stories we personally experience, than by unembellished facts and strict logic. Let's revisit the 2008 financial crisis. The very same cataclysmic event triggered vastly different stories and subsequent lessons, depending entirely on an individual's personal experience. Some individuals lost their life savings in the market, leading to their enduring narrative. Investing is inherently too risky, never trust it. Others, who steadfastly held onto their investments, saw their portfolios rebound years later stronger than ever. Their narrative became, the market always recovers, remain invested. Why such divergent interpretations? Because we don't merely recall what transpired, we vividly remember how it felt.
Housel draws a parallel to how we process news or historical events. We don't simply crave a dry recitation of facts, we yearn for a story. This is because stories are inherently easier to remember, simpler to share, and far more readily believed. However, the inherent danger lies in their simplification. Real life is undeniably messy, intricately complicated, and replete with unforeseen variables.
Consider the illustrative example of a friend who claims to have become wealthy from crypto. They recount their triumphant journey of buying low, selling high, and now enjoying the fruits of their success, perhaps driving a new Tesla. You hear their compelling narrative, you witness their apparent prosperity, and an immediate impulse strikes. Perhaps I should do that too. You are absorbing a carefully curated highlight reel. What remains untold are the sleepless nights endured during precipitous price crashes, the mounting credit card debt incurred to make those investments, the agonizing moments where they almost capitulated and sold everything, or the sheer luck that played an undeniable role in their outcome. Their story appears elegantly linear, but the underlying reality is immeasurably more intricate. Housel asserts that this phenomenon is precisely how financial bubbles inflate. Individuals become captivated by powerful stories, act impulsively on emotion rather than objective data, and are then utterly shocked when reality inevitably punctures the narrative, despite the underlying facts always having been available.
This is why Housel issues a crucial warning. Just because a financial story feels true doesn't automatically validate its veracity. So what is our countermeasure? We cultivate a deliberate pause and ask ourselves, am I internalizing this belief because it is factually accurate or because it evokes a comforting or exciting emotion? We must consistently remind ourselves, a compelling story is not synonymous with a sound financial strategy.
While our brains are indeed wired to comprehend the world through narratives, it is imperative that we exercise extreme caution and never conflate a good story with a robust, well-reasoned strategy. The crucial takeaway from this chapter is exercise discernment regarding the financial stories you internalize. While they may offer inspiration, they are not necessarily factual, nor do they guarantee outcomes, nor are they inherently suitable for your unique circumstances. Do not confuse a captivating narrative with a viable strategy. Always scrutinize the underlying facts and ensure the story genuinely aligns with your specific financial goals. Inspiration is a valuable catalyst, but it is never a substitute for diligent analysis and careful planning.
That critical point about not confusing a good story with a good strategy brings us to our penultimate discussion, where we'll synthesize all the timeless lessons we've uncovered from the psychology of money. Chapter 19, Altogether Now, Key Lessons, marks a significant point in our journey. If you stayed with us this far, a sincere congratulations is in order. This demonstrates not just a fleeting curiosity about money, but a genuine commitment to understanding it on a deeper level, beyond mere mathematical calculations, delving into its profound human dimensions, the intricate interplay of emotions, ingrained habits, and the tangible real-life implications that pure numbers can never fully explain.
Exactly. This chapter is designed to bring together all the threads we've explored, encapsulating Morgan Housel's most significant, universally applicable, and powerfully simple lessons. He can't, and indeed won't, tell you precisely what specific actions to take with your money, because he, like any truly wise advisor, doesn't possess intimate knowledge of your unique situation, your specific goals, or the deeply personal motivations that drive them. This echoes the historical shift in medicine, exemplified by the 1931 story of Clarence Hughes, whose dentist performed unauthorized fatal procedures. That tragic event underscored the move from doctors dictating care to prioritizing patient consent. Money, in essence, operates on the same principle. While universal truths about money exist, Housel's core message is that they must be applied in a way that is profoundly tailored to you.
So here they are, Housel's fundamental lessons distilled from this insightful book. Lesson 1. Stay humble. Be forgiving. Recognize that nothing is ever as spectacularly good or as devastatingly terrible as it initially appears. The unseen forces of luck and risk are undeniably real. Respect their pervasive influence, and you will inevitably make more astute financial decisions.
Lesson 2. Less ego, more wealth. True wealth is not found in outward displays. It resides in what you discreetly possess and choose not to flaunt. It is the capital you accumulate by consciously deferring immediate gratification, thereby expanding your future options and freedoms.
Lesson 3. Manage for sleep at night. Prioritize your peace of mind above all else. Relentlessly chasing the absolute highest returns is not a worthwhile pursuit if it ultimately deprives you of sound sleep. Genuine financial success is intrinsically linked to mental tranquility.
Lesson 4. Time is your secret weapon. Conceptualize money as a tree you plant. You don't unearth it daily to inspect its roots. You patiently water it, nurture it, and allow the passage of time to facilitate its growth. Grant your money the necessary time to compound, and its eventual magnitude will astound you.
Lesson 5. Be okay with things going wrong. Even the most intelligent and diligent individuals will encounter setbacks and make errors. This is a normal, inherent part of any complex process. A single unfavorable chapter does not invalidate the entire book. More often than not, a select few outstanding decisions will significantly outweigh the cumulative impact of numerous less favorable ones. Cultivate a broader perspective. Zoom out to see the larger picture.
Lesson 6. Buy time, not stuff. A grand house offers comfort, and a sleek car provides enjoyment. However, consider the profound trade-off. You could exchange these material possessions for more precious time with your children, for the quiet luxury of a leisurely morning walk, or for the empowering freedom to decline obligations that drain your spirit. This fundamentally is what authentic wealth truly procures: control over your irreplaceable time.
Lesson 7. Be kind, not flashy. A luxurious car may momentarily capture attention, but genuine kindness and unwavering humility. These are the qualities that capture hearts and cultivate enduring respect, qualities that far outlast any fleeting material display.
Lesson 8. Save just because. Do not wait for a specific, predetermined reason to save. Accumulate funds for the inherent unpredictability of life, because life possesses an uncanny knack for presenting surprises, typically when least anticipated. Savings provide an unparalleled sense of confidence and security. It's akin to owning an umbrella. You don't wait for the rain to begin before acquiring one.
Lesson 9. Success has a cost. Be mentally prepared to pay it. The inherent prices of success include stress, self-doubt, and fear. Every ambitious dream carries an implicit toll. Do not dread this toll. Simply acknowledge it as an integral part of the journey. And unequivocally, the long-term rewards are worth every emotional payment.
Lesson 10. Leave room for error. Always incorporate a substantial margin of safety into your financial plans, because outcomes rarely unfold precisely as anticipated. No plan is flawless. Things will inevitably go awry. Life will throw unexpected curveballs. Therefore, diligently construct financial cushions. Safety nets are not indicators of weakness. They are profound expressions of financial wisdom.
Lesson 11. Avoid extremes. Committing to an all-in strategy can frequently backfire. Life is a dynamic process, and you, as an individual, will evolve. What appeared to be a brilliant strategy 5 years ago might feel recklessly imprudent today. Therefore, cultivate flexibility and maintain a readiness to adapt your plans.
Lesson 12. Love risk, fear ruin. Taking intelligent, calculated risks is an essential component of wealth creation, as risk is inherently linked to reward. However, the ultimate ruin, the complete loss of capital or opportunity, must be vehemently avoided as it prematurely ends the game. Embrace smart risks, but rigorously avoid anything that possesses the potential to wipe you out entirely.
Lesson 13. Know your game. Are you meticulously saving for retirement, diligently working towards a down payment on a house, or strategically building generational wealth? Understand the specific financial game you're playing and resolutely resist the temptation to let individuals engaged in a different game dictate or influence your unique path. You wouldn't employ a chess strategy at the poker table. Your money, your objectives, your personal game.
And finally, Lesson 14. Respect the mess. The world of money is inherently complex and often messy. It is profoundly personal, it is deeply emotional, and individuals will inevitably perceive it through wildly different lenses, simply because people possess diverse dreams, varied goals, and distinct fears. And that fundamentally is perfectly acceptable, because the ultimate question isn't about identifying the singular right way, it's about discovering your way, the path that seamlessly integrates with your unique life, your core values, and your personal aspirations.
These comprehensive lessons powerfully underscore that understanding the profound psychological dimensions of money is not merely important, but absolutely paramount, as it directly, intricately, and consistently connects human behavior to tangible financial outcomes.
Absolutely. It brings it all together.
Now that we've absorbed these invaluable takeaways, our exploration takes a uniquely personal turn. In the book's final chapter, Morgan Housel opens his personal vault, candidly revealing precisely how he manages his own money, how he applies these very lessons to his daily life, the deliberate choices he makes, and the trade-offs he willingly accepts. Are you curious to discover how a leading finance expert actually handles his own wealth? Stay with us, because this final segment reveals it all. It's raw, it's honest, and it's incredibly insightful. Chapter 20, Confessions, is arguably one of the most personal and illuminating sections of this entire book. It transcends mere financial strategies. It delves into Morgan Housel's own practical application of his principles, and perhaps more importantly, the deeply personal why behind his financial decisions.
Let's begin with a deceptively simple question, famously posed by the late billionaire investor Sandy Gottsman to prospective hires. What do you own and why? Unquote. This question, seemingly innocuous, cuts through pretense and often reveals the unvarnished truth about an individual's financial philosophy and behavior. It highlights a common discrepancy. Many people articulate one set of beliefs about money, but then act in a completely different manner when their own capital is on the line. Consider the surprising statistic that nearly half of all mutual fund managers don't even invest in their own funds.
Wow, that's incredible. Like a chef who refuses to eat their own cooking.
Exactly. This phenomenon underscores a crucial point. When it's your money, your livelihood, your future at stake, decisions are often made from a different place. Personal finance is precisely that. Personal. Financial decisions are forged not in abstract spreadsheets, but around dinner tables, within the context of individual lives and values.
So, how does Morgan Housel approach his own money? His paramount financial goal is independence. For him, genuine wealth signifies having the profound freedom to engage in activities he desires, precisely when he desires, and alongside the individuals he desires. It's not about possessing the largest residence or the most opulent car. It's fundamentally about commanding control over his own time, securing the autonomy to live life entirely on his own terms.
Housel attributes this profound realization to lessons learned from his father. His dad became a doctor at 40, already with 3 children, and transitioned from a period of financial struggle to relative comfort. Crucially, even as his income improved, he steadfastly maintained a lifestyle below his means, saving diligently. One day, after years of incredibly high-stress work in the emergency room, his father simply retired early, walking away from the demands of his profession entirely free. This pivotal event left an indelible mark on Morgan, solidifying independence as his ultimate financial aspiration. The key takeaway for you is that achieving this level of freedom doesn't necessarily require being a doctor or earning an exorbitant salary. It simply demands a disciplined management of lifestyle expectations and a consistent commitment to saving, as if your future depends on it.
Housel and his wife adhere to a straightforward yet powerful rule. They deliberately prevent their lifestyle expenditures from escalating in direct proportion to their income. They commence their professional lives with modest jobs and a simple existence, a basic apartment, a reliable but unremarkable car, prioritizing experiences like reading, walking, and quality time together over material acquisitions, activities that require minimal financial outlay. Even as their income steadily increased, they consciously maintained that same modest lifestyle. They never felt a sense of deprivation because they had, early on, defined what constituted enough for them, and they steadfastly resisted the urge to constantly shift that goalpost. This disciplined approach allowed them to consistently save more over time, yielding a far more valuable outcome than accumulating more possessions. Greater savings, enhanced independence, and significantly reduced financial pressure.
Now, here's a decision Morgan made that might raise eyebrows among traditional financial advisors. He openly discusses what experts once labeled his worst financial decision, yet for him, it remains one of his best. He and his wife fully paid off their home, even though prevailing interest rates were remarkably low. Advisors often suggest that from a purely rational mathematical perspective, one should invest that capital for potentially higher returns. However, for Housel and his wife, the decision transcended mere arithmetic. It was profoundly rooted in their desire for peace of mind. They simply did not wish to owe anyone money. Owning their home outright instilled in them an unparalleled sense of freedom. No monthly mortgage payments, no lingering debt. While it may not have been the mathematically optimal financial decision for pure investment returns, it was unequivocally the correct emotional decision, prioritizing their happiness and sense of security over strict financial optimization.
Another surprising habit they maintain, one that runs contrary to most expert recommendations, is their decision to keep approximately 20% of their total savings readily accessible in cash.
Housel articulates the compelling rationale for this. Cash acts as oxygen for their lifestyle. This substantial cash reserve provides invaluable flexibility for unforeseen emergencies, eliminates the need for them to be forced into selling their long-term investments during market downturns, and critically, allows their invested capital more uninterrupted time to compound. As the legendary investor Charlie Munger famously advised, the first rule of compounding is to never interrupt it unnecessarily. This cash buffer is their strategic safeguard, ensuring their long-term investments can truly play the long game without being derailed by short-term liquidity needs.
So how does Morgan Housel approach his investment strategy today? Early in his career, he actively selected individual stocks, at one point holding positions in as many as 25 different companies. However, his current approach is remarkably straightforward. He primarily invests in simple, low-cost U.S. and international index funds.
While he retains immense respect for individuals who actively engage in stock picking, for Housel, the additional risk and mental exertion are simply not worth it. He acknowledges that his simplified strategy might not consistently outperform the market, but he also possesses the confident knowledge that he is highly unlikely to make significant, wealth-destroying errors. This intentional trade-off prioritizes consistency and profound peace of mind. His family embraces a modest lifestyle, saves diligently and consistently, and invests steadily from every paycheck. Their financial blueprint is simple. Consistently invest, maximize contributions to retirement accounts, contribute to their children's college funds, and allow their capital to grow quietly and patiently over extended periods. There is no chasing of flashy trends, no frantic reaction to headlines, and no reliance on complex, sophisticated strategies, just unwavering patience, an optimistic long-term outlook, and relentless consistency.
So what's the overarching takeaway from Confessions? Money management is deeply personal. It's not about adhering rigidly to what appears right on paper. It's about discerning and implementing what genuinely feels right and truly serves you.
The most effective financial plan is ultimately the one that allows you to sleep soundly at night. What worked optimally for Morgan Housel might not be the ideal approach for you, and that is perfectly acceptable. So whether that translates to paying off your mortgage early, maintaining a substantial cash reserve, or consistently investing in simple index funds, prioritize decisions that cultivate your inner peace. Because when it comes to money, no one is truly crazy. Everyone is simply striving to make the most astute choices possible given their unique circumstances, their current stage in life, and their individual identity.
And that concludes our comprehensive exploration of the psychology of money. Timeless Lessons on Wealth, Greed, and Happiness by Morgan Housel. We've discussed how this profound book transcends traditional finance, offering invaluable, timeless insights into human behavior, the pursuit of wealth, the pitfalls of greed, and the essence of happiness. It truly reframes how we think about saving, spending, risk, success, and our deepest sense of well-being.
Grasping the psychological underpinnings of money is absolutely critical, as it directly and powerfully links our inherent behaviors to our long-term financial outcomes, providing insights far beyond mere quantitative analysis.
We've only scratched the surface of the wisdom contained within the psychology of money. Morgan Housel's full book is rich with even more captivating stories, deeper insights, and subtle nuances that can truly deepen your understanding and reshape your financial perspective. If this discussion resonated with you, we wholeheartedly recommend picking up a copy and experiencing his brilliance firsthand. And of course, for more invaluable summaries and compelling explorations that distill complex knowledge into clear, actionable understanding, remember to subscribe to BookBlinker. Your continued support is what allows us to bring you more essential content like this. Thank you for joining us on this insightful journey.
As you navigate your day and ponder your financial future, consider not just what you want your money to do for you, but what you ultimately want your money to allow you to be.